Right then, welcome back to the channel. Double upload day today. You're welcome. United are playing Atalanta tomorrow night. It is away from home in Bergamo, and United need to not lose it. I was going to say we need to win it. A win pretty much puts our feet into the next round. A draw is still a decent result. You take a draw still, providing that we put in some good performances tomorrow night and then in the subsequent games, which obviously is not a given. But a draw is not a terrible result in the grand scheme of things. I do want to see United try and go and win this, though. That would be good. Gasperini and Atalanta obviously haven't had the best starts of the season. They're not showing the sort of consistency that we would expect from them in recent years. And Gasperini and Atalanta obviously haven't had the best starts of the season. They're not showing the sort of consistency that we would expect from them in recent years. In the past couple of seasons, they've been really dangerous, really prolific, and not just in Serie A, but also in Europe as well. They're currently sitting fifth in Serie A. They're coming off a 2-2 draw against Lazio. They've got one draw, one win, one loss in the Champions League. Very indifferent form for them. They're level on points with Villarreal in a group and will be going into the game needing to win, which is why I think a draw really helps separate us. It's not just about can we go on and win every game. Obviously, we'd like to see that happen, but sometimes securing the point, preventing your rivals from getting there, can help you secure qualification for the next round, because that's ultimately what it's all about. So they favour the 3-4-1-2 or the 3-4-2-1, depending on what kind of opposition they're facing. Generally, they opt for the 3-4-2-1 against stronger opposition. It gives them a tiny bit more defensive protection, and it wouldn't surprise me if they opted for the 1-2 against United at home. They're probably going to be out one of their best creative forces in the 10 role, which is Pacina, not being able to play, as they did opt for two up front last time they played us at Old Trafford with Muriel and Ilicic. But because they probably want to be maybe a tiny bit more cautious this time around, I think the game carries so much importance for them, they might go with being a little less adventurous and go with the 3-4-2-1. Again, they're without several key first team players because of injuries. But I do think Zapata comes back into the team for them this time. So it'd be Muso, Zappacosta, De Roon, Demiral, Palomino, Male, Koopmeiners, Freuler, Ilicic, Pasalic and Zapata, I think, will be the striker. And Zapata is a star man. 6 goals, 4 assists in 12 games for them this season. Didn't start the game against us last week or the week before because he had a knock, which is the trend with this Atalanta team, but I don't think he misses it again. He is a monster. He's got a huge physical presence, and there's more to his game than just being like an absolute brute force. He's really creative. He's got a great eye for a pass, finds loads of assists, and he's in the 99th percentile for assists by a forward in the last year. So he's a force to be reckoned with, and he's an excellent footballer. And he's got more than enough pace to hurt United in behind if given the opportunity. Likes to get a feel for defenders. Likes it when they come up nice and tight with him. Loves to roll them. Loves to use someone pressing up against him and use them to be able to get a bit of leverage and turn them and get in behind. He's strong enough to get in behind someone even if they've got a yard on him as well. So he's a hell of a player, and he does like to get a shot off too. So he's a handful. He's alive, alert in the box. He's deadly, and he's got a good eye for a pass as well. So United have got to clamp him, really. Atlanta, obviously, ball playing side. We knew this before we played them last time. They didn't show anything to dissuade us from that. Third highest in their league, 81.8% pass completion, 56% possession. Very contrasting the way that they aren't solid defensively, but they are great going forward with a really expansive style. They're in the top 5 in the league for goals scored, but they're in the bottom with 7. In the bottom 7 with defensive leakiness. They've conceded 14, often involved in high-scoring games, as we should know, and they rarely get shut out, even if they lose. Malinovsky is in the top 10 in Serie A for key passes. He leads the league in shot-creating actions, and there's a stat which gives a player for a credit for a pass, a dribble, or even drawing a foul, or even a shot that leads to an opportunity on goal for somebody else. He's involved in most things that they do going forward. He's fallen out of favour the last couple of games, but I think he's one to keep an eye on if he plays, especially if he can link up with Zapata. And they lead the league in a long way by touches in the opposition penalty area. They get forward, and they get numbers forward as well, and they're good at it. They're also second for aerial duels, which suggests they're strong in the air. And with that in mind, I pick the team that I'm picking. So De Gea in net, I think he's cemented his spot as number one so far this season after the question marks last year. Lindelof, Maguire, Varane. Yes, I am going with the three, and I think Ollie will as well, because I think more that he thinks it's the formation for City, but we're going to need some practice with it prior to getting to Old Trafford and playing against City with it. Wan-Bissaka and Telles. I'm just going to rest Shaw for this one. I think he brings Matic and Pogba into the team. One, because Matic is a baller and one of our best footballers. I also particularly think he suits the sort of pace of game that Atalanta are going to play, as does Pogba. And I think he likes pairing those two together as a pairing. And if you're going to play them two deep with a back three, that also means that even though they're deep, they're a little bit higher up the pitch than they would be if there was a back four. Bruno alongside or just in front of them. So this is either a three in midfield or it's a 2 and a 1. And I think Bruno showed that he could probably play as part of a 3 midfield like this with Ronaldo and Rashford up front. I don't think Cavani gets the nod again. I'm looking at this with an eye on weekend. I think it's probably going to be McFred at weekend against Manchester City, and I actually think that's probably the right course of action, to be honest with you. But it'd be interesting to see how this slightly more adventurous midfield of Pogba and Matic and Bruno gets on. And I think these have got the quality to really hurt Atalanta. And United can play a patient game here. The onus isn't on us to go out and attack, and they, as we know, leave spaces that we can exploit. I think Rashford again will be key and a real threat to them as well. So looking forward to see how we do that. And in some ways, Atalanta are really dangerous and they're going to come for you. But the way they set up, if they stick to their guns, their philosophy is kind of tailor-made for the type of opposition we like playing against. And this team is going to like playing against teams that are adventurous in possession and positionally when they get the ball. If we play to the level that we know that United are capable of doing, we could be in for a good night, especially with another depleted Atalanta side. I think just the performance has to be better over 90 minutes than it was last week. United can look more solid and regimented if we go with the three at the back, and it may prove more likely that we do it, especially because Atalanta play three at the back as well. Ollie in the past has liked to match up formation for formation when he's done stuff like this. So it's another game to become accustomed to it for us before we play City, because I think this is going to be the go-to. And we'll go man for man in midfield, enabling us to be able to try and win more 1v1 duels rather than get outnumbered like we did last week with the 4-2-4 that we decided was going to be a good idea. We got to be quick on the transition because that's where you're going to hurt them. And Marcus Rashford, there is no one better at running these doggies. It literally is the best for him. You got to score first. Atalanta aren't rocks at the back, especially after they lost Romero to Spurs. They're going to give you a chance. Scoring first could ease United's nerves, draw them out into a bit of a gunfight, and then if United are as clinical as we were against Spurs, we pick them apart. You're going to draw them out of that potential back five shape. You're going to make them more adventurous. And then you can start being aggressive and selecting your time to attack. Scoring first is the most important thing here. That's what I reckon. Cheers for tuning in. I'll see you guys in the next one. Laters. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.